Yeah, I apologize for the setting or whatever, but anyways, you look, this video is gonna be different because I'm in the middle of having to cook dinner. I have to cook dinner. I have an hour to cook it and whatever, and I have to cook dinner. But I need to also do this video, right? Because I'm behind on this. And this video is basically um, the continuation of the anti-teach number 3, which involves the good news for God, good news from God brochure from Jehovah's Witnesses, which is basically a brochure that explains the basics about Jehovah's Witness theology, and it is a little bit more elaborate than the "What do Jehovah's Witnesses believe" statement that you find in the JWR website. Both are found in the JWR website, and I will put links on the description to both statements so that you can see what Jehovah's Witnesses say. Which you can read for yourself what Jehovah's Witnesses believe in their own words, right? I mean, you can't criticize something or disagree with something unless you know what they believe, right? You have to look at what you disagree with. You have to look at what those whom you disagree with say in their own words before you can criticize what they say, right? So I will put those links in the description so you can do that by yourself. You can go in the JWR website and knock yourself out. The JWR website is designed to, like, it's like a, and it's all about information about Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all there. So there is videos and articles and everything. So, if you want to find out what Jehovah's Witnesses believe in their own words, you go to jw.org. Right? But I am going to go through the lesson 2 of the Who is God brochure while I wait for the pasta water to boil, right? And then I'll have to turn around and do the pasta. So this is gonna be like a, I don't know, cooking show meets theology. It wasn't my intention, but it was gonna be. Anyways, lesson 2, Who is God? Right. So this video we're gonna go through lesson 2 of the Good News from God brochure. Okay. First, okay, number 1. Why should we worship God? Okay. The true God is the creator of all things. He had no beginning and will never have an end. And they cite Psalm 90 verse 2. He is the source of the good news found in the Bible. 1 Timothy 1:11. Since God gave us life, we should worship only Him. And they say that you should read Revelation 4:11. Okay, so let's unpack this. Okay, the true God is the creator of all things. Look, you know, okay, from my perspective, I'm not a believer in God anymore. I believe that God is an idea. Okay, God at best is a hypothesis, an idea. Okay, and the conception of God, of this intelligent creator, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent being that exists. Okay, that idea is not the greatest. It's not the greatest possible conception of God. Okay, and in the God delusion, Richard Dawkins, in passing, he mentions an Australian professor that says, that maybe the professor in question did this as a joke or something, but he said that a non-existent creator would be greater than an existing one, right? Because a non-existent God that created everything is obviously greater. So there is something greater than the conception of God, of the Abrahamic God that Jehovah's Witnesses espouse. Okay, so my premise is that the true God does not exist. That's what I think. Based on what that Australian professor says, that as a joke perhaps, that a non-existent creator is greater than an existent one. Okay, so as to the idea of intelligent design, there's a lot of holes in that idea. Again, if you believe there is an intelligent creator, it's because you want to believe it. Okay, you believe what you want. If you want to believe in an intelligent creator, you can do that. However, the facts of the case, the actual reality is that a creator is not necessary for nature to evolve or function. Okay. He had no beginning and will never have an end. Psalm 90, verse 2. Okay, he had no beginning and will never have an end. Okay, the only thing that has no beginning and no end is matter, and matter is interchangeable with energy. That's my position. Okay, God is an idea. The only way that God could exist, in the sense that the Jehovah's Witnesses believe that he had no beginning and will never have an end. The only way that God could exist in that sense is if, as an idea, that idea existed in some realm of perfect forms where, ideas exist forever. And that was the idea of Plato, right? The Platonic realm of the forms. There is no evidence that such a realm exists. In fact, that realm is just an idea. God is an idea. Spirit is just an idea. The realm of spirit is just ideas. It's metaphysical speculation ideas. It's nothing else. You cannot separate ideas from the brain that formulates those ideas. Right? I mean, an idea cannot exist without the brain that formulates those ideas or thinks those ideas. So, and the fact of the case is that when humanity goes extinct, the idea of God will go extinct with it, because there will be no human brains to think about the idea of God. Okay, those are the facts of the case. So, all right. What else? No, God is the source of the good news found in the Bible. No, the Bible was written by men, not God. And if they want to say that, well, there were men who were inspired by the Holy Spirit, whatever, then explain to me why the Holy Spirit contradicts itself so many times in the Bible, because the Bible contradicts itself. I mean, it's incredible. So there's actually a web page you can go where you can look at all the contradictions in the Bible. They list them. So, no, I mean, 1 Timothy 1:11. I don't know. I'm doubtful. I'm skeptical about 1 Timothy 1:11. Again, because the fact of the case is that men wrote the Bible. Since God gave us life, we should worship only Him. I'm not really sure that God gave me life or that life came from God. I don't know. Again, evolutionary process does not require a God. If you want to believe that it does, it's your choice, but it doesn't really require it. And we should only worship only Him. Why? I mean, why should I worship an idea? I'm not going to worship an idea. I'm not going to pray to an idea, because an idea is formulated by a human brain. So if you're praying to God, you're praying to an idea formulated by a human brain. You're actually praying to a human. The human who created it. So no, I'm not impressed by Revelation 4:11. Let's see, what is God like? Okay. No human has ever seen God, because He is a spirit, which means that He is a higher form of life than the physical creatures who live on earth. And they take that from John 1:18 and John 4:24. No human has ever seen God, because He's a spirit. Okay. No human has ever seen God, because God is an idea. Okay. But the only way that you could see God is if you see a picture of God that somebody made up, and it's usually a picture of an old man sitting in a cloud somewhere. Okay, that's about it. Right? So an old man sitting in a cloud. It's a picture that somebody made. I don't know. Because he's a spirit. I don't know that. I mean, he's a spirit. Jehovah's Witnesses are, well, I don't know. Is he a person or is he a spirit? Because he has a name and he's a person and he's your best friend. He's not a spirit, right? I don't know. So, yeah. So I don't know. Can a spirit have a personality? I don't know. It's a problematic concept of, if you want to create an ontology for God, this is problematic. Which means that He's a higher form of life than the physical creatures who live on earth. Okay, an idea is not a higher form of life than the physical creatures who live on earth. Okay, the ideal is not higher than the physical. In fact, the physical is higher than the ideal, because the ideal is a product of and depends on the physical. Okay, so no, I'm not into John 1:18 and John 4:24. I'm not into it. Nevertheless, we can discern God's personality for the things He has made. I don't know about that. I mean, again, this intelligent design premise, intelligent design premise is not really. Again, if you want to believe in the existence of an intelligent designer, that is your choice. It's not necessary. An intelligent designer is not required for evolution to work. Okay, so, I don't know. What else is here to unpack? For instance, the variety of fruits and flowers tells us of His love and wisdom. How does the variety of fruits and flowers tell us of His love and wisdom? That's ridiculous. There is no correlation between the variety of fruits and flowers, which is the product of evolution, and God's love and wisdom. Alleged love and wisdom. I don't know. The size of the universe tells us of His power. Again, there is no correlation between the size of the universe and the existence of God. I don't know where they get that from. Apparently, Romans 1:20. So Paul said this, and they say it's true. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I disagree with Paul. We can learn even more about God's personality by reading the Bible. For example, it tells us what God likes and what He does not like, how He treats people, and how He reacts in different situations. Okay. This idea of God's personality, as defined by the Bible, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses making up something here. They're like looking at the Bible to extrapolate principles that somehow suggest that God is this or that. Excuse me, I have to check the water. It's not quite boiled yet. All right. Yeah. Look. Okay, reading the Bible only tells you what the humans who wrote the Bible think God was. Okay, that's what reading the Bible tells you. Okay, it tells us what God likes and what He does not like. I mean, again, this is making Jehovah's Witnesses believe that you can extrapolate Bible principles and to discern what is true and what is not true, or what God likes, what God hates and what God doesn't hate, and you're supposed to avoid what God hates, right? To be on His good side or whatever, or else you get disfellowship from the congregation or whatever. Again, to extrapolate from the Bible is to say that it's actually the men who wrote the Bible who decide what God likes and what He does not like. All right, so that's the men who wrote the Bible's opinion of what God likes and doesn't like. How He treats people. Okay, I don't know how He treats people. He told Abraham to go sacrifice Isaac. I don't know. Is that an example of treating somebody good, telling a father to go kill his son? These three actors who touched the Ark of the Covenant by accident and were killed. I don't know. All sorts of instances in the Bible of situations where people were mistreated. I don't know. And how He reacts in different situations. Like when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Is that how He reacts? Like when He hates somebody, he destroys them, right? With balls of fire, like He did with Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. All right. Thanks for letting us know. Psalm 103:7-10. Okay. Does God have a name? Jesus said, "Our Father in the heavens, let your name be sanctified." Matthew 6:9. Although God has many titles, He has only one name. In each language, it is pronounced differently. In English, it is usually pronounced Jehovah, but some people pronounce it Yahweh. And you can read Psalm 83:18 about this. God's name has been taken out of many Bibles and replaced with the titles Lord or God. But when the Bible was written, it contained God's name some 7,000 times. Jesus made God's name known when He taught people about God. And you can read John 17:26 to corroborate this according to Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, so let's unpack this. Jesus said, "Our Father in the heavens, let your name be sanctified." Okay. I mean, Jesus believed that God had a name, but the Jewish people in his time did not pronounce God's name, right? Because their premise was that her name is not to be written, and His name is not to be uttered. And that tradition comes from before Abraham, where there was, in the Middle East, there was a god and a goddess, El and Elad, I think, or Elad. Anyways, the god and the goddess, right? And her name is not to be uttered, and His name is not to be written. Her name is not to be written, and His name is not to be uttered. With Abraham, he deleted the goddess and just kept the God. His name is not to be uttered, right? So, assuming Abraham even existed, which is another issue that I'm not going to get into. But anyway, so yeah, so our Jewish people in his day did not pronounce the name of God. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that one is required to say the name of God when one prays. If you don't say the name of God when you pray, God will not listen to your prayers, is what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. So ancient Israelites and Jehovah's Witnesses are diametrical opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to the issue of whether you can pronounce God's name or not. So, oh, excuse me, the water boiled. Let's see. So I'm just gonna add some pasta. Okay, that is done. Right. Right. Let's see. Let's see. Although God has many titles, He has only one name. In each language, it is pronounced differently. Right. Look. Okay. In English, it is usually pronounced Jehovah. Okay. The word Jehovah was made up in the Middle Ages by an English monk. Okay. Jehovah is an English word, a made-up English word that a monk made in the Middle Ages. Okay. It is not a universal term. It is Jehovah's Witnesses who have imposed this term on people all over the world whom they convert. Okay, but Jehovah is a made-up English word. It is not the name of God, before, like, I think with the 13th century. I don't know. Anyways, but some people pronounce it Yahweh. Okay, it's not some people who pronounce it Yahweh. The fact is that the majority of experts, linguists, and biblical scholars agree that the most likely pronunciation for the Tetragrammaton is Yahweh. Okay, and nobody believes in the word Jehovah except Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody believes it's Yahweh. And the Muslims call him Allah. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. God's name has been taken out of many Bibles and replaced with the titles Lord and God or God. That's because the Jewish people didn't even pronounce his name. But when the Bible was written, it contained God's name some 7,000 times. Okay, I don't know. I mean, when the Bible was written, right? Okay, when the Bible was written, I think what they mean is the Old Testament books. Okay, so maybe there it contains God's name, but again, when the translation, for example, to the Septuagint, happened and what have you. When they translated the Hebrew scriptures into Greek and what have you, maybe they took out God's name because they didn't want to pronounce it. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that the word Jehovah was not the word they used when they wrote the Old Testament. I'm pretty sure, because the word Jehovah is an English word that comes from the Middle Ages, the English Middle Ages. Okay. Jesus made God's name known when he taught people about God. I don't recall Jesus ever used John 17:26. I don't recall Jesus ever using the word Jehovah. That's impossible because the word Jehovah did not exist at the time of Jesus. Okay? So Jesus did not use the word Jehovah. So I don't know. That's a lie. If somebody tells you that, they're lying. That's impossible. That word didn't exist at that time. Okay. So, does Jehovah care about us? Does widespread suffering mean that Jehovah is a God who does not care about us? Some people claim that he makes us suffer to test us, but this is not true. Read James 1:13. God has granted man the dignity of free will. Do we not appreciate our freedom to choose to serve God? Joshua 24:15. But many choose to do bad things to others, so suffering abounds. It saddens Jehovah to see such injustice. Read Genesis 6:5-6. Jehovah is a God who cares about us. He wants us to enjoy life. Soon he will eliminate suffering and those who cause it. Meanwhile, he has good reason to allow suffering for a limited time. In Lesson 8, we will learn what that reason is. Read 2 Peter 2:9, 3:7, 1, and 13. Okay. Okay, suffering, meaning that Jehovah is a God. Okay. Suffering it's a byproduct of human existence that has been there all the time and will always be there. So, you know, the Buddhists claim that the root of suffering is desire. So if you eliminate desire, you eliminate suffering. I don't know. The Marxists say that not to eliminate suffering, but to severely curtail and eliminate it, you would have to establish a society based of material abundance, where the abundance is available to everybody, a sort of democratic economy, material basis for freedom for everyone, and that would eliminate suffering. They call that socialism. So, I don't know. There's different formulas for ending suffering here. Yeah. So, I mean that suffering exists or does not have anything to do with whether a hypothetical God cares or doesn't care. The deists believe that God exists, but He doesn't care. So, some people claim that He makes us suffer to test us, which is not true. Read James 1:13. Well, I don't know. Again, I'm not sure that there is a God there to test anybody, but whatever. God has granted man the dignity of free will. Do we not appreciate our freedom to choose to serve God? Okay, what about the freedom to choose to leave our religion? Because if God gave me free will, the dignity of free will, then I should have the freedom to use that free will to decide that I no longer want to be part of a certain religion, right? However, Jehovah's Witnesses, when people disassociate, they are subjected to shunning in the same way as a person who needs fellowship. So, Jehovah's Witnesses do not respect the dignity of free will of people who disassociate from the Jehovah's Witness organization, because those people are subjected to shunning. So, let's see. Jehovah is a God who cares about us. He wants us to enjoy life. Soon He will eliminate suffering and those who cause it. Right, Armageddon. Yeah, Jesus is going to come back and destroy the wicked, and create a paradise earth, and what have you. That's a utopia. That's a fantasy. The new system is a fantasy. Meanwhile, He has good reason to allow suffering for a limited time. In lesson 8, we will learn what that lesson is. Read 2 Peter 2:9 through 7 and 13. How can we draw closer to God? Jehovah invites us to draw close to Him. Okay, excuse me. I have to stir the pasta. Excuse me. I have to do some stirring. I'll be right back. I have to add some more pasta to the pot, but yeah, I don't think I put in enough pasta. It's supposed to be for 2 people, and but yeah. You guys gotta understand, going back to the issue of Jehovah's Witnesses, the issue of Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah's Witness theology is, a very particular theology where it's not, it's not the theology of Christendom, right? It's not a theology of Christendom, and it is based on a distorted, twisted interpretation of Charles Taze Russell theology, plus their own twisted exegesis of their own redacted Bible. Okay, so Jehovah's Witness theology is a peculiar product that you only find among Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, please bear that in mind when we continue to study the Good News for God. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Wolverine. Okay, how can we draw closer to God? Jehovah invites us to draw close to Him by speaking to Him in prayer. He is interested in us individually. Psalms 65:2 and Psalms 145:18. He is willing to forgive. He recognizes our efforts to please Him, even if we sometimes fail. So despite our imperfection, we really can enjoy a close relationship with God. You can read Psalm 103:12 to 14 and James 4:8. Okay. Okay. Jehovah invites us to draw close to him by speaking to him in prayer. Look, you can pray all you want. You can pray and pray and pray. For a while there, you know what I was doing? It was a crazy shit. I went through some crazy transition period when I was like in order to hold on to my faith after the soteriological edifice of my faith collapsed, after I discovered that Adam and Eve did not exist, I tried to hold on to some sort of faith or belief system or what have you to justify continuing to function in Jehovah's Witnesses. And one other thing, I came up with this sort of hybrid of deism, Pelagianism, and this thing I picked up from the God Delusion. But this is before I read the God Delusion. But this idea that I don't really believe that Jehovah is God's name, so So, and I'm like, well, what's the point of praying to a God who exists but does not care, right? So, I mean, prayer became meaningless and pointless. So that you cannot pray to the deist God because he exists but he doesn't care. So if he doesn't care, he's not going to listen to your prayers. So, yeah. So then I said, well, I'm going to pray to the Holy Spirit. Because I said, well, I can still retain that old doctrine from the Byzantines, that the uncreated energy of God, to explain the Holy Spirit. It's an uncreated energy of God. It's a product of God's existence. I'm like, okay, well, so the deist God who exists but doesn't care exists. So the Holy Spirit is a byproduct of his existence. So I'll talk to the Holy Spirit. So I started praying to the Holy Spirit directly. Holy Spirit, please do this. Holy Spirit, please do that. Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. And that was my transition or whatever for 5 minutes until I discovered the God Delusion or what have you. Until the God Delusion cured me of religion. Richard Dawkins. Right. He is interested in us individually. Psalm 65:2, 145:18. The deists would disagree. They would say that God exists but doesn't care. He is willing to forgive. He recognizes apparently not homosexuals are not going to be forgiven because, according to Stephen Lett, who is a member of the Jehovah's Witness governing body, during a talk in the 2020 convention, he said that homosexuals who are resurrected are going to be given a choice: either renounce their lifestyle or be destroyed. As if homosexuality is a lifestyle that you can choose or whatever, which is not the case. People are born gay or lesbian or whatever, so transsexual or what have you. Well, no, they're not born transsexual, but maybe a person is born in the wrong body, so they need to change their body to match who they really are or whatever. Transsexual or what have you. According to Jehovah's Witnesses, transsexuals do not exist because God created gender. When he created Adam and Eve, he created a male and a female. He gave Adam a penis and he gave Eve a vagina, and that's it. God dictated that, so these two genders are set. So there is no such thing as changing genders, according to Jehovah's Witnesses. God forbids that. So, whatever. The fact of the case is that is not true. That is not the case. Excuse me, that is not factual. So, but whatever. He recognizes our efforts to please him, even if we sometimes fail. Right, whatever. I don't know. So despite our imperfection, we really can enjoy a close relationship with God. Well, maybe if he existed, can you but then Jehovah's Witnesses say that God is a spirit. Can you have a relationship with a spirit? I don't know. Our efforts to please him. You can please and please and please God and nothing will happen. I did that for a whole year, trying to please Jehovah. I was preaching, living according to Bible principles, going to meetings, commenting on meetings, dressing up, whatever, doing everything I needed to do. I was gung-ho about the truth. I made the truth my own. For a whole year and a half, the first year and a half, I was on the hamster wheel. I was preaching. And nothing happened. Things happened after I woke up. Then things began to happen that moved me in a different direction, where I found fulfillment in my life, or the beginnings of fulfillment in my life. So, Since Jehovah has given us life, we should love him more than we love anyone else. Mark 12:30. As you express your love for God by learning more about him and doing as he asked, you will draw ever closer to him. Read Timothy read 1 Timothy 2:4 and 1 John 5:3. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. Okay, Jehovah did not give us life. Evolution, the process of evolution gave humanity life. And humanity as we understand it, because there were other species of human, such as Neanderthal, which Jehovah's Witnesses don't like to dwell on too much. All right, when you mention Neanderthal, you're not supposed to talk about Neanderthal because Neanderthal cast doubt on the idea of Adam and Eve and what have you. Neanderthal never happened. Jehovah's Witnesses denied the existence of Neanderthal. You know, even though there is like heaps and heaps and heaps of scientific evidence proving those people existed, Jehovah's Witnesses deny it because it contradicts the doctrine of Adam and Eve. You know, so it's sad. It's pretty sad. I think in another video I talk about Neanderthal, but yeah, whatever. I mean, believing in Jehovah's Witness truth requires that you ignore the real truth of scientific fact. So it's just the fact that Neanderthal existed as a distinct form of Homo sapiens. Okay, anyways. Right, they cite Mark 12:30, right? Yeah, we should love God more than we love anyone else. You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses take that too far. For example, when you marry inside Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're married to your wife or whatever, you are not in a two-way You're not in a two-way relationship here. You're in a three-way relationship because Jehovah is part of your marriage. He's part of your relationship, and you are supposed to put Jehovah before your spouse. Okay, so and if you're a woman, you are in a seriously horrible situation if you're married in a Jehovah's Witness setting, because not only is the man the man is the head of the woman, Jehovah is the head of both. So if you're a woman in a Jehovah's Witness marriage, you're subordinate to the man, and then Jehovah is part of your relationship. So whatever, it's crazy stuff. Crazy theology, you know, some crazy theology, you know. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that expressing your love for God means willing submission to this type of system of rigorism that they set up, you know, in their congregations, their marriages, their families, interpersonal relationships, whatever. You know, it's just crazy. You know, you have to do as he asks. So this famous song, Jehovah's Witness song or whatever, listen, obey, and be blessed, or something to that effect. You know, listen, obey, and be blessed. You know, so you have to listen, you have to obey, and you have to be blessed. So listen means like if the organization tells you this is truth, you have to believe this is truth. Obey means to submit to whatever strictures come from that truth. You know, whatever it says. And be blessed means that supposedly blessings will come to your life as a result of doing that. Like I said, when I was in the hamster wheel for a year and a half, you know, I did that. I listened, I obeyed, and I waited for the blessings, and that's okay. So, you know, I don't know. In my experience, there were no blessings. I don't know what we're talking about. So, anyways, yeah, I guess that concludes Chapter 2 of the Good News from God, Lesson 2 of the Good News from God book. This is the third video in the Anti-Teach number 3 series. And this is going to be a series, a serial thing. Because I'm going to post the 2 previous videos that started this series, plus this one up. It's going to be the first installment in this serial, in which I'm going to go through the Good News from God book, the theology, and comment on it. So look forward to further videos. I have to continue cooking dinner here. So see you guys later.